Well, it's a very, very disgustingly dirty and wet day outside, but we're inside in the warmth and we've got more goodies to open and review. And I've chosen today, this is the fairly new Bachmann ex-Southern CCT covered carriage truck, and this is catalogue number 39-528, and this is in the BR Blue livery, which other than pre-grouping, I'm a bit of a sucker for the BR Blue tops period. So without further ado, we're going to open this up. It comes in the slightly longer boxes that things like the VDA and VBA vans have come in. Slide it out. Again, newer style box, none of that awful piece of white paper in the back. It goes in and out fairly easily there, so no struggling. And we can see immediately we've got separate brake rigging gear to be applied if needs be. I don't tend to actually fit these because unless you pick it up and look underneath, you don't really see it, and I see it as being a fiddly waste of time. But you know, a lot of people are rivet counters, and hey, those rivets aren't going to count themselves. We open it up now, and we've got there is a protective film, but Bachmann have now started, I've noticed, sort of securing it with something in there, so you don't end up with this piece of static charged plastic that sticks to everything but other than what it's supposed to. We'll just drop that out to one side. Oops. And what we can see immediately, we've got, it's a smooth roof. There's no vents on this one, but I know some of the other releases, they have tooled up to allow vents in the roof. For example, the Southern Railway version of this. It is a wagon that the full-sized ones date back to the Southern Railway period, but they lasted quite late. They were very, very handy for parcels traffic in the brute trolleys. Because they had these doors, it was quite easy to get the trolleys in and out. They also had end opening doors, and this allowed all manner of things to be carried in them. I think one of the things that they did sometimes get used for was scenery, like theatre scenery, when it was being transported, when a theatre company went on tour. And the end loading doors made it very easy to get some very large objects into these. Now, the livery application is very, very clear. The planking is very, very crisp. There's no overspray with the paint, so we don't find any of the detail being obscured by too thick an application. The door handles themselves are actually moulded on, but you wouldn't really know unless you get close and feel them. However, there are separately applied handrails at either end. The brake rigging underneath is some of the finest I've seen on this type of wagon. The extra bits which I showed you at the beginning in the box go where the wheels are, just either side, and I think they connect into where the brake shoes are. But as I said before, I won't be fitting those, but you know, they're there if you want to. The coupling mechanism is very reminiscent to things like the Mark I coaches and also the Mark I horse boxes that were done as a special commission for TMC. They work quite well and allow a degree of close coupling and also still being able to go around some much tighter train set curves. The wheels as well, a nice touch, they've actually painted the faces, so rather than having a bright brass finished wheel, they're done in a matte black, which really I think is a nice touch. And it's something, I think they've done that on some of the later releases of coaching stock, but it's the first time that I've particularly seen it on wagons such as this. The text and detail application in the white is very crisply done, and in fact we've got some information there which would have been on the original one. I can't actually read that, but I've got every confidence in the application of the Bachmann livery that zoomed in on that you'd probably be able to read it perfectly what it says, and I can just about read. In fact, I'll tell you what, the batteries in my eyes must be needing changing because sign of getting old. I have to actually take my glasses off now to look at things close up. and it's yeah, to do with the length of the wagon, width over something, and extreme height. So basically dimensions, and that would allow this wagon to be routed accordingly. For example, I suspect it couldn't go down the Tunbridge branch because it's probably too fat to fit through the tunnels. Overall, I would say it's a good solid 9.5 to 10 out of 10 for Bachmann. It's quite an expensive wagon. Unfortunately, the prices of ready-to-run wagons are going up and up, and I don't think they're going to come down again. We've never had it so good in terms of range, but you're going to have to pay for these, and I think this came out at about £18, which is still pretty reasonable for what you get. You certainly couldn't build and paint a kit to this standard for that kind of price. Now, as an interesting comparison, I've also dug out, this is... some people might recognise this from the Hornby 00 days, and it's pretty much the same wagon but done by a different manufacturer. It dates back originally to the 1960s. It came out in a southern region green, from what I remember. There is one of these at my father's house in pristine condition, and one thing which I must admit, when I first got this out of the box, find that some of the doors have gone missing. We can see that there's a length difference ever so slightly, and I'm inclined to believe that the Bachmann one is accurate and the Wren stroke Hornby 00 stroke Dapol one is under scale length. That was quite common back in the day for these models. They weren't quite so accurate when making them. Overall, an excellent model. Value for money, they are getting quite expensive, and that is probably eating into the value for money, but still well worth adding this to your fleet, especially if you run parcels trains, to give a very good variety of rolling stock. Indeed, I've probably got about 6, maybe 7 different types of wagons in the BR Blue period suitable for parcels traffic to make up a very prototypical train, and this is a welcome addition to the Bachmann stable. Now, I hope you found this video very informative. If you have, don't forget to like it and share it too if there's somebody that you know who would benefit from watching this video. Anyway, until next time, this is me, Jenny Kirk, saying you take very good care of yourself. Be careful out there because it's a lot of flooding, a lot of wind, and in fact when I drove back from Falkirk the other day I saw 2 lorries on their side, which did make me feel kind of nervous because I was driving a lorry myself, but got back okay. Anyway, you take very good care of yourself, and this is me, Jenny Kirk, saying bye for now.